Sharks. Everyone's scared of them. Not even pro surfers are immune. A few others also had a brush with death, but this first guy though, he was lucky. Watch your feet. It was a cloudy day with a cool sea breeze, so these guys thought it'd be a good day to go on a research trip. However, they never expected the sharks that they were helping to turn hostile on them. Or maybe they were? Why wear the boots as a safety precaution otherwise? Anyway, one of the men was operating the boat while the other stood out front. All was fine at first, at least until the shark showed up. And boy, I don't think that guy was any happier about the narrow bridge being made of metal until, wham! That great white jumped to try and take a chunk out of his feet. If it were made out of any other material, perhaps there'd be a hole poked through there with him falling through to certain doom. At least the bridge itself was high enough for the shark not to be able to leap in through the wider side grills. Otherwise, he may have been in even more danger. At least all's well that ended well. Mick Fanning's encounter. It was a Sunday, July 19, 2015, when Mick Fanning had his life flash before his eyes. At that time, he was in South Africa, competing in the J-Bay Open. This was the 6th event on the World Surf League Championship Tour. He made it to the finals with his buddy Julian Wilson, and the two were supposed to have a fun and tight little rivalry, and Mick was sure he could nab the championship when something eventful happened. Around 4 minutes into the final, things became interesting. Great white shark appeared, and even the crowd was tense for a while. Was Mick going to make it? Well, he did. He punched and kicked that shark to make it go away. Undoubtedly, he thought he wasn't going to make it that time, and the millions of people across the planet, but he did make it. Soon enough, he swam away, and jet skis were there to help him out of the water. Julian even paddled towards him and the shark to help his friend out. Never mind the championships. The world knew, based on the live feed, that there were 2 champions that day. Close up. Being close to a shark while in a diving cage is one thing. It's an entirely different experience when you're close to it with no barriers. At least you have some protection with the cage. With the latter, you're practically dead if the shark wasn't just curious. Thankfully for this lady, this shark was in the former category. July 12, 2017, at New Brighton State Beach, California, she and her friend decided to go to the deep waters. They weren't too panicked. After all, one of them was an avid wildlife photographer, so they had some experience. Probably. But hey, only live once, right? Anyway, once they were a little offshore and spotted some sharks, they dipped their GoPro to capture some footage. And you know what they found? This. A curious great white shark that was examining their camera with its snout. Scary how murky the water is, perfect situation to ambush prey, but instead of using this opportunity to pull Bonnie into the water, just stared at the camera. All that's left to do is to tell it to say cheese. Knockout. This guy was paddleboarding with a friend off the coast of Jupiter, Florida when something unexpected happened. He got knocked off his board by a spinner shark. No, don't worry though, I don't think he was hurt. In fact, he found it kind of amusing in the end and laughed off the encounter with his buddy. At most, he was probably shocked about the face full of water when he wasn't ready. Then again, though, he is on the beach and on the water at the time. Plus, he almost instantly got back on his board anywho. The spinner shark may have accidentally run into him instead of intending to do actual harm. Otherwise, it might have dragged him underwater than letting him be free to climb on board right away. Either way, it's scary to see if you were his buddy. Sometimes it feels like time freezes while he's still underwater. At least both men have a sense of humor, as neither of them took it too seriously. I don't think that instance would stop them from paddleboarding again in the future either. Air leak. You know, the shark is aggressive when it's already attacking you and your crew when you aren't even in the water yet. Look at this shark though. Punches a hole through the inflatable boat. That thing's gonna sink in just a matter of seconds. Thankfully though, there was another boat nearby that the crew could help escape being turned into shark feed. So, what happened here? Well, the attack took place off the coast of Mossel Bay in South Africa. Happened to a group from Expert Tours, a company based in Port Elizabeth. They were following the sardine runs near the Seal Island along with a bunch of tourists when one inquisitive, clever, and feisty great white shark spotted them. Thankfully, according to the group, Expert Tours was very level-headed that day and handled the situation well. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have had this footage to begin with. Scary to think how unpredictable the creatures of the ocean can be, am I right? Well, this also shows that we must keep calm during tense situations to escape them safely at the end of the day. Big catch. Fishing. Relaxing pastime, honestly. But it is kind of boring initially. Once you get your first catch of the day, though, you get excited to reel in even more. So I guess these guys were pretty excited to have a hefty fish on the line. except it wasn't the fish they were expecting to catch. Turns out it was a great white shark about 11 feet long and weighing about 1,000 pounds. Don't know about you guys, but I'd have flipped and panicked if that were me. May lose my fishing rod because I'd likely let it go from shock. Already wary of sharks in aquariums, so I don't need one hooked on my line and getting close to my boat, potentially getting on it. Thankfully, these guys are much calmer than me. They saw the shark and reeled it in so they could safely release it back into the wild waters where it belonged. It's a feat to reel one in, and it may give you some brownie points with other anglers, so massive kudos to them. Stalked. Yeah, no, absolutely not. This is probably enough to make me stop fishing on a boat. Probably only fish in rivers after encounters like this. These guys were peacefully fishing on their boat when a massive 18-foot shark just stalked them for no apparent reason. Was it trying to steal fish so that it had a free meal? Maybe. Or is it thinking it'll have human men for lunch? Perhaps so. Honestly, who could tell at this point? So far from our entries, I think we can all agree they're a little more unpredictable than we imagine them to be. Honestly though, what impresses me the most is how calm these guys are. They're just looking at it right back. I'd be too busy manning the boat back to shore if it were me. Sure, it'll signal to the shark that I'm terrified, but really, what's it gonna do? Jump on my boat and bite my arm off? I actually better not push my luck on that idea. Now it's time for the day's best pick. The thumbnail may look scary, but worry not. The lady we're about to show may as well be the Shark Whisperer. Swimming with sharks. Nah, again, she ain't in any danger. That's marine researcher Ocean Ramsey, and that 16-foot tiger shark is her decades-long friend. This shark's name is Queen Nikki. They regularly swim together, and Mrs. Ramsey did admit she entered the water a little too fast for Queen Nikki at the time, so she backed off. However, don't think the shark hates her. They swim together so often, they're pretty much just best friends. They're so close that Ocean says that, as far as she's concerned, feels as though she and the shark went through puberty together. Don't think Queen Nikki's her only friend, though. While it's true that Ocean credits the giant tiger shark with getting her to learn more about shark behavior, it looks like she gets along with any shark, really. She makes one thing clear, however. All the sharks are wild. They're not docile creatures, so they must be respected. Still, she does love taking people along with her so that they too can learn more about her underwater friends. If I were half as brave as her, perhaps I'd imagine joining her one day. Target locked. Yeah, no. At least this guy reportedly survived the attack despite going home with a gash on his head. Then again, pretty unlucky that he found himself in this type of situation in the first place. What happened was that this pair was abalone diving. For what reason? Who knows? Maybe they were planning to sell their finds at the market, or perhaps they were going to bring them home. But whatever their purpose was, that's what was happening. At first, there wasn't a shark around them at all, but in a matter of seconds, one great white appeared and bit the diver in the head. Thankfully, his diving headgear provided some protection. Otherwise, he may have suffered more grievous injuries, and maybe a trip to the ER. Looks like this isn't a rare kind of sitch either. This pair was 57 meters underwater when a big silver-tip reef shark charged at them. Good news, though, is that the man managed to roll over fast when the shark hit him, leaving him unscathed. Talk about skills and luck. Diving nightmare. Not sure what the diving protocol is, given that I'm a complete newbie at it, but I'm sure that just floating around while your buddy's being stalked and bitten by a shark isn't one of them. If anything, I imagine you guys have band together to stave off the shark. But no, not this group. One guy had his leg bitten while the others watched. Then again, maybe everybody was frozen in terror at that point. Here's the story. These divers were getting their deep diver certification when this occurred. During the final exercises, several divers grouped together in the same area, earning the interest of one oceanic white-tipped shark that was nearby. And because they turned their backs on the shark quite a bit, it may have enticed the shark to go in for the kill. Good news, though, is that the man survived as his buddy rushed him to give him aid. Perhaps next time the instructors will be warier to warn the other divers of what to do when there's a shark nearby. For the good of all, of course. See you all next time.